Now, here's what I'm interested about. And I guess, Jose, I'll start with you, but then Elissa, I'd be interested to hear the same thing from you, because just in listening to you talk about this, obviously compliance and regulation was what got you started down this path. And you've talked about the fact that it's the ability to demonstrate an economic or financial impact that has prevented your supplier diversity program from becoming a box check. So that's kind of all the rules and the math and the structures and the frameworks. But the first interesting word that came out of this conversation was passion. And that's very different than compliance and regulation and economic impact and financial impact. So Jose, let me start with you. Where do you see sort of your passion for either making a change without having formal influence, right? Without necessarily having a reporting type of control? How do you balance the rules-based frameworks that you're working inside of with the natural passion that you happen to bring to the job to make yourself successful?
So you do have to have passion for this role, especially if you're in an organization that is going beyond checking the box. When you think about it, we are pursuing organizational change. And when you think about utilities, utilities don't like to change. The same contractor has put in the pipeline in the ground and water has been running for the last 50 years. Why should we even change it? So that requires a lot of diplomatic skills. And it's funny coming from the military, having to apply that. One of the things, actually, I was stationed with the State Department. So I got to see diplomacy firsthand. So that kind of helped me understand the importance of listening and listening to the different stakeholders and understanding their perspective. The engineers want their project completed in time with the quality that they expect and on the budget. Whether it's a diverse supplier or a non-diverse supplier, that is not necessarily the priority. But that's where I come in understanding that importance, how this project fits in the overall picture of the company, and also allows me to better negotiate with them. Another thing that I can tell you is, if you notice, I've been with the company since 2014. On this role, you cannot come here and be 2 years and expect for things to change. You really need to know the decision makers. You really need to know who to call. And that's also part of the success. It's now, after 8 years, I know our procurement policies. I know our standard operating procedures. I know the different managers.
Okay.
And that allows me to better understand their thinking and help me find the middle ground where I can say, okay, maybe not this project, but what about the next one? So I think that's really important. And then another factor that has allowed for the evolution, when you talk about frameworks, it's really keeping that ear to the ground to what is important to the different stakeholders. So many years ago, we were trying to figure out the business case, just as Elissa said, the savings. And figuring out that was important, we did run a study and figure out how much money are we saving just by bringing diverse suppliers into the bidding process. So it came out about $1 million per year. So then for me, adapting and showing those figures to our leadership, gave them that extra added benefit that, okay, well, compliance, savings, and then many of our diverse suppliers have done very unique things for us. For example, the way we manage our service tickets for our customers is through an application that was developed by a diverse supplier. So then when you bring those stories to the front in combination with the data, and by the way, we're compliant, then you have that winning situation.
Yeah. Now, Elissa, what would you either add to that or provide a different perspective on? I mean, I will tell you truthfully, I've heard traditionally that supplier diversity managers tend to naturally have a lot of passion. I will admit, I haven't spoken to a lot of Marine veteran supplier diversity managers, so maybe that's the missing element. But there does seem to be a consistent struggle to operationalize that passion. So you can be excited about it, but you're not actually going to get that economic impact or that financial impact for the company if you don't find a way to naturally bring it in to projects. What around that would you add to what Jose shared?
Actually, from a different perspective, I mean, we have the number, we have the KPIs, we have the savings and all that. But what really make me passionate about this program is all these stories, all these examples that over the years that we had, developing diverse suppliers, seeing them start from a smaller company doing subcontracting work with a prime contractor and slowly grow bigger with our help and become a prime contractor for us and become a much bigger company to be out there. I mean, there's just the process of growing them, and it's just something I'm extremely passionate about. I mean, I told Jose every year we have this CPUC's annual report we have to file. Of course, we have to give numbers, but then every year we tell stories. I told Jose, say we have storyboard. We need to tell our stories. It's not just about numbers. It's really about how we contribute to this diverse supplier community by bringing up, by really growing all the suppliers. And that's something me as a procurement officer is really passionate about.